Hi there, I'm joined by Maarten, Managing Director of Talpa Global, one of the big formats players in the market, and we're here at MIPTV. Maarten, we can see it's busy, people are doing business. In terms of the formats business, in terms of entertainment, are there any big trends that you can see? Are people looking for authenticity or a certain type of show, for example?
Well, we are a company that focuses predominantly on non-scripted. And so if you look at non-scripted at this stage, that I think there's definitely an appetite for new formats. There's also an appetite for a bit more risk-taking. So you see that the momentum is becoming more important. So the moment that the format is in one country successful, you have the opportunity to really have that format travel very quickly.
Talpa is owned by ITV, and we can see that the two companies are working closely together now in some respects. Tell us about 5 Gold Rings.
Well, definitely. I think if you look at the global market in general, and again on non-scripted, the number 3 format export markets are US, UK, and the Netherlands. And if you're able to combine creative forces and really collaborate with each other in 2 of the big format markets historically, but also now, actually, if you look at the format business in general, that's very promising and very good.
And of course, one element of 5 Gold Rings is the interactivity, which is something of a Talpa hallmark, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think that the two companies, with ITV and Talpa, I think that they foster creativity and they value it as well. So we've really brought these 2 forces together, so to say.
And when you sell a format that has these interactive elements, how does that work? Because presumably that's different to just selling a format ordinarily.
Well, that's, we try to be a forerunner of what we say connected formats. So we're definitely always looking at, how are we able to attract and really engage with a broad audience, so from young to old. And we see a trend and a tendency that the way of consuming media and television is different from in the different age groups. But it all starts with an addictive and very strong gaming element. So it's not an add-on. We've really tried to intertwine it within the original concept. But the concept itself needs to be strong.
And in terms of interactivity and engagement, are you producing connected formats, as I think you guys now call them, because that's what broadcasters are asking for, or are you effectively future-proofing what you do because this is how people are going to view television and they like to play along and be engaged?
Well, I think it should be a natural component of the concept itself. So this is also why we actually frame it as a connected concept, so a connected format. It shouldn't be artificial. It should be natural. It should be intertwined. If it makes sense, we should do it. If it doesn't, then we should stick to the program itself.
So Maarten, when you have these interactive formats, these connected formats and the apps, what kind of results are you getting? Are there any numbers you can share with us?
Well, I think the objective is that we are able to engage with people. And if you look at, for example, the UK, where it's currently on air on ITV and it's doing very well, we see that around about 200,000 people are actually playing along, and they actually stay within the app for 48 minutes. So that it really shows that there's a stickiness which has a value, and people also tend to come back after commercial breaks, etc. So as long as it has that value, it really adds something to the viewership, and it adds something to the experience.
You talk about reaching out to different demographics. In terms of what we see on screen, often the focus is on young, sexy, attractive people, and you have a show that actually has older people and puts them on screen with Around the World in 80 years.
Yeah, but again, I think that it doesn't automatically say that this caters very well for an older audience. I think that also giving stage to the elderly in this respect, who have a lot of humor, who have a lot of authenticity, is very important. I think that's also something that the young generation likes. It's not specifically about young short-form content. I think it's more about authenticity and following true stories. And I think that's the strength.
And when we think about format trends or entertainment trends, dating shows are still very much in vogue. There's a need for relationship shows. And with The Story of My Life, you kind of have addressed that. Tell us about that show.
Yeah. Well, The Story of My Life, I think that in general, relationship shows, dating shows, they've literally never gone. They're always around. So they're always these type of genres which are present internationally. What we particularly like about Story of My Life, that it's a very honest and open interview setting. and you really sort of like the guard that you normally have. It's sort of like you lose it, and you know, so it becomes a very honest and open interview, in which you're able to get into sort of like deeper layers than you would normally get in another setup.
And I believe there's a German version in the works with a certain famous tennis star attached.
Yeah, well, that will launch in a few weeks. And for example, there one of the two famous couples one of the famous couples that we have there is with Boris Becker, the famous tennis player. And what the interesting bit of it is, it's not a fast show. You really get the chance to really get to know them in a different way. It's open, it's honest, and you almost get hypnotized by what you're actually looking at.
One thing we hear is that a lot of big franchises are perhaps coming to the end of their cycle. There are a lot of big shows that are perhaps going away. That must create real opportunity for a company like Talpa Global.
Yeah, well, looking for the next big thing, I'm already in the business for quite some time. So the next big thing is sort of like the line that every sort of like market you hear it back. I think that we have a very strong presence there with The Voice, but also with The Voice Kids. I don't think that that's a show that's going to wind down. I think it's present, and actually in some territories we're performing better and better. We're in a very healthy sort of like space of the life cycle of the show.
Performing well on NBC.
Performing well on NBC, but also in France and other territories. And we have 67 versions of the format, so that's really a lot. So it's a big franchise. But also there, we're not sitting back and awaiting sort of like what's there to come. We keep on refreshing the show, new elements. Always, what else can we do? Also in the current time that we sort of like live in. How can we make it topical? How can we sort of like keep it up? And again, it's also a big opportunity for new shows. You know, I think that the appetite for new formats, you know, will always be there, because you see that if you sort of like crack the code, you can really have a franchise on air for a long period of time, which also can be a foundation and a good base for a network.
Maarten, thank you very much for joining us here in sunny Cannes. I hope everything goes well with 5 gold rings and the rest of your shows.
Thank you very much. Cheers.